Hello Team FD and welcome back to the 12th Man, where you take us on at Sky Fantasy Football in a bid to win big boy prizes. Joining us this week is Adam McCullough from Full Time Devils. How are you, sir?
Back with a bang! And you've turned up, that's nice.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't here when
No,
you
I was
last
happy
came,
you weren't
but
here last time.
you know, I saw the intro, you slagged me off. I'm not going to lower myself to your level. We'll get over it and move on. Patrick van Straten, how are you?
I'm
Beard's
good,
looking
I'm
on
ready.
point.
Thank you, I appreciate that, that's good
Strong
from you.
beard game.
Thank you.
Well.
From a man with a real beard, whereas from you it's like...
Yeah, 5 o'clock shadow. Let's just move
It's
on.
not even 5
I said
o'clock
before.
over there.
I wish it was
Still midday.
I wish it was 5 o'clock now, bro. Anyway, if you haven't joined our league, the pin is on screen now, and don't forget the overhaul feature is here, which means you can make as many free transfers as possible. Use this time, use the international break wisely. Adam McCullough, you've been doing it.
I have been
also,
doing it.
schedule your captains. I know you've definitely been doing that, Van Straten. You're always on the ball.
I wasn't last time out though.
And there's an M&F next week, so you get to put in 3 captains. Although it is Brighton versus Southampton, so I'll be excited to see who you pick.
Have you got
before
Pascal
that.
Gross?
Have you got anyone from either of those teams?
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
Although I'd probably say, yeah, maybe Bertrand might be worth bringing in at this point. Might be worth captaining. Anyway, tweet us your teams because we've got some of our favourites to go through this week. So get us on Twitter and we'll pick them apart next week, you know, or lavish praise upon them. And prizes, we've got 2 shirts to give away as always this week. And the season-long prizes, let me refresh your memory. Championship, playoff final tickets, corporate seats, normal seats, and a PlayStation 4 with games of your choice. So well worth competing for. Let's get into quick fire questions. Oosh. First question comes from at TJ Higgs 2, and he sent us his team in, and he's asked, I'm still not sure I've got the balance of my team right. Any recommendations on how to fit in another worthwhile striker? So he's got Aguero up top by himself, he's got 5 in midfield and 4 at the back. What do you make of this, McCullough? Your team's actually faring very well, by the way. In the top 400, I'm like 2,000th.
I'm not doing bad at all. Until I forget to just update my team one week and then it all fall apart. And that is with me forgetting to do my captains, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
forgot to do my captains.
silly. Amateur hour, if anything.
I've had
But
double Mitrovic points this week. But nevertheless, with that team, when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, why you got 4 defenders?
Yeah.
yeah,
Why you
straight
got
off the
4
bat.
defenders? And like people, like I used to make this mistake of when I was picking a team for fantasy football, trying to pick a team that you'd actually see in a match. But that's stupid. You may as well pick 3 fullbacks because they're going to get you points.
Yeah.
You may as well pick 2 strikers and get your points. And pick a striker from the bottom 10.
Oh, okay. So who would you go for from the bottom 10?
Mitchell, maybe.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Or maybe Richarlison, I'm not sure how expensive he is now.
Was Richarlison bottom 10? Really? I had him in my team. I had to take him out because he got a 3-game ban.
Price-wise, I think that you're probably going to get him for a better fee than you're going to get, say, a Benteke. Like,
A Benteke who doesn't score goals.
yeah. absolutely.
Richarlison is classed as a midfielder on this, and he has
Which is
3
great.
midfielders who already play very advanced.
Yeah,
in
Walcott's a
Walcott,
good one to have there.
Hazard and Zaha. So does TJ Higgs really need to force another forward into this lineup? What do you make of his team as a whole, Van Straten?
I think he could do a little bit of a rejig here. I think that I'd consider dropping Trippier because Spurs recently have been on a little bit of a defensive slide since about April. StatsBomb had a really good article about this. And the thing is, if they play with a back 3, Trippier's really worth having because he's going to stay incredibly high up and pretty much only contribute in attack terms. But actually, when they had a bad defensive first half performance against Man United the other day, Trippier was sacrificed to bring in Aurier to give them a little bit more solidity. And as a result, they were much, much better defensively in the second half. So you might also, if they don't play a back 3, see it go the other way, where you're seeing Aurier instead being the first choice right back. So I don't know, Trippier at the moment, because Poch likes to switch around his fullbacks quite regularly, because the Champions League is about to start, I don't know if I want a guy who might get rotated. I'd rather get consistent games from somebody like Van Aanholt, who we've got here, or maybe Jose Holebas from Watford.
Absolutely.
Jose
killing
Holebas.
Hey.
We're going to touch upon him later. So there we have it. I think the general consensus is
I got Trippier in my
lose a
team.
defender. Lose a defender, right?
I got Trippier in my
Right.
team, so
Well,
probably not
that's
Trippier.
what's holding you back. You could be top without that.
Hey,
Look what
I'm in
you've
top
done.
400, where are you?
I had literally
thought,
no
mate.
idea.
And that is the truth. Next question's from Harry P. And for some reason, I think he's sent in a question aimed specifically at you. If he
Who's
wants
you?
to hear
Me?
United rant, I don't know why he just doesn't go to Full Time Devils.
I don't
Why'd you have to
like-
bring that?
I
Why'd you
don't
have to bring
like
that
talking about
vibe
Manchester
over
United,
here?
for God's sake.
Right, and he's asked, do you think Gary Neville would make for a good director of football at United? He said he knows and loves the club and he demands respect and has strong business acumen because he's got a hotel with Scalzi. What do you make of this? Because you are looking for a director of football, right?
I don't
and
know
Howson
about-
went on a bit of a rant about one the other day.
I don't know whether a director of football is the thing to fix Manchester United, especially with a manager like Mourinho in charge who would prefer more power than maybe not having power. I can see that causing more problems than it would solve, especially given that it will be a club appointment.
Okay.
It'll be a club appointment that will suit the Woodwards and suit Glazers. So it's not going to be Jose Mourinho picking a director of football that he would work with. So I feel like it could cause problems unless it's the right fit. As for Gary Neville, like, of course, romantically looking at these things, if Gary Neville was our director of football and Eric Cantona and all this, it would be absolutely great. But until they're in that position, you don't really know what they're going to do. So far, Gary Neville's judgment of players based on his managerial career isn't great. But having said that, Gary Neville knows what you need to succeed at Manchester United. He knows what kind of players would tick all the boxes, what kind of club we are. But I don't think Gary Neville would be on that anyway.
Yeah, I feel
Like, even if he was the best fit, would he be on it? He
feel
owns
like
Salford City. He's doing all these different things.
Would he
I don't
give up
think
Monday
Manchester
Night
United
Football?
would be his priority, and I don't think he'd get the wages that would, make him do that.
In a sense, I feel with Ed Woodward sort of refusing to sell personnel like Anthony Martial,
That's a
he
good
kind of
one.
wants to
With the
build a
right
squad
thing,
for
by
the
the way.
future. Yeah, Jose Mourinho wants a squad for now, and if you were to get in a director of football, that is their prime remit is
The one
to
thing I would
recruit
say-
for the long term,
Yeah,
right?
but
So
That's one thing
even
I
more
would
internal
say.
clashes.
United's planning, even from selecting our managers, from appointing our managers. David Moyes got the job, like Andy Tay said, on the technicality of allegedly recommended him. Like, he never got interviewed for that job once. Once.
worrying.
So it's like our employment
Yeah, because a director of football is a big say in
all
the manager
sorts
as
of
well,
level
right? Yeah.
is awful. Like, we need like with Manchester City. I hate bringing it up, but they were always ready for Pep.
Yeah.
Everything about their recruitment was ready for Pep.
Negrestan,
And we've never been ready. We've had David Moyes, Van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, 3 managers that are all historically quite negative, both in the press and in their football. And our signings haven't been with the view of performing better on the football pitch. It's been with the view of performing better on the balance sheets. And that's the problem. Manchester United's remit is to finish top 4, get Champions League money, bring in lucrative sponsorship deals. Our remit is not to win the Premier League.
Interesting. I'm just trying anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think the director of football though is a way that you can bridge the interests of the fans and also of the club though. Like, the problem with just hiring a manager and letting them run transfers essentially is that you just build a squad for that manager, and when they leave, you've got a squad that doesn't necessarily fit the next manager. If you have a director of football, then they build a coherent squad overall, and they select a manager who's going to blend with that talent. Now, sometimes you're going to make mistakes, but overall, in the long term, that's going to mean that you have less turnover of players, which means that you actually save money as a club, and keeping a consistent style, keeping the young, talented players like Martial, Pogba, Bailly, means that you will actually probably improve over kind of 2 or 3 years.
I think it would be something that whenever Mourinho leaves, do it then.
Yeah.
I think doing it now while
Well,
he's in place, I don't think it makes
But are they not? Is this not just a wheel spinning year? Does this not feel like now we're just waiting till next summer when Mourinho
It
will
does
be
feel
sacked?
like it does feel like that at the moment. It does feel like his last days at Chelsea, but obviously, on the optimistic side of me, I'm hoping he doesn't have to leave and we turn it around and everything's rosy. But you are right; it doesn't
That
doesn't
feel
feel-
like we're building for the.
Yeah,
long
it doesn't
term
feel
at the moment.
positive, does it?
continuity, that idea of legacy, should have been easier at United as you had an identity under Ferguson. I think he was
I
a bit
think though,
devastated
but
when
when we
Kieran
lost
went to
Fergie
Portugal,
and we
right?
lost Gill, and we brought in Ed Woodward, who hasn't got a clue really, and that's why I feel like yes, Jose Mourinho's problems are 50% of his own doing, but it's also 50% like against Spurs. Alderweireld was a big difference between those two teams.
Yeah.
We should have had him in our team that day. It's like
I think he was making
we've
a
got a
point
guy
playing
that
him on the
we've got-
Herrera on the right side of centre half. I remember when he did that for.
it was interesting.
at Chelsea
because
when he
it's
deployed
nice to
an
see
odd
Jose
central
trying
midfield.
things though.
Okay.
How many times were you just seeing 4-2-3-1 every week, 4-3-3, and it's like nothing's changed. At least he's trying something, even if we did have Smalling at the back still.
All right, let's move on for Macola's sanity anyway, because next question comes from Jack Barker, and he's asked, who are the most underrated players in the Premier League? And I suppose easier to answer this if we kind of address it within the realms of Sky Sports Fantasy Football, right? Because I have put down 3 options here: Lacazette, Pereira, and Holebas, who are all sort of outperforming their price tag on Sky Fantasy Football. Have you opted for any of these in your team, Van Straten?
I think Lacazette is a really good pickup actually. I think he's going to play more now, and even when he's come on as a sub, he's often seen an improvement in the team as a result of him getting in there. I think he dovetails quite well with Aubameyang, and the fact that he's got a goal and 2 assists in 4 games is quite heartening, given that Arsenal have been pretty poor to start the season. You'd have thought they're going to improve over time, and then you might see an uptick in his numbers again. But he's already kind of 10 points ahead of Aubameyang in fantasy football. My only concern is his price tag is still pretty high. I think he's 11.4 mil.
Similar to Morata.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you can get Morata for that money, who's the starting sole centre forward on a Sarri team, I'd probably go for Morata overall. But he's a very creative forward as well, and apparently he's only been selected by 2.9% of managers in fantasy football. And so possibly if you pick him up, take a gamble on him, and he has a great few months, then that might give you that little competitive edge.
Yeah, all about those fine margins.
It's a bit
Who do you
of a
say,
gamble
Morata?
though, 11.4 million, and
Morata
he
or
might be
Lacazette?
on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, Lacazette or Morata?
See, this is where I go Morata, I think. But I think Lacazette's an
I'd
interesting
go
shout.
Giroud over Morata.
Really?
Whoa,
He scores goals, innit?
does he?
Even if he comes off the bench, he'll get more goals than Morata this season.
That's a big claim.
That is a big claim.
I think
Particularly when
Morata's broken.
You've said you won't
Something
pick up
about
Lacazette
him
because
is
he's on the
broken.
bench. Something about Morata is broken. I don't know. I think he's looked quite not reinvigorated.
I've not
That's
seen
maybe a bit
enough of him
strong.
this season.
Yeah, I mean
to
against
really say, but he just seems broke. not in his pockets, obviously.
you've not seen the same. Your whole aura since we started talking about David Gill and Moisey
You
and
look
Van
haunted.
Gaal. I know what cheer you up. Let's talk about Holebas, because he's been involved in 5 goals at the start of this campaign. So 4 assists and a goal for Gracia's men. And if you can maintain form in the next 2 or 3 games, then I think, again, like Van Straten said, you can find a little competitive
How much
edge
is he
there.
available for?
Only been selected by 4.7% of players. That's going to be on screen now. Bang. Didn't put it in the script. But Watford have some difficult games coming up. Manchester United at home. Okay, that's not looking as difficult given the form of both sides
What are you trying to
than
say?
maybe it was at the start of the season.
Then what for the better?
They've got Fulham away, but that's in the Cup. But that'll be an interesting game. Have you included any people in your squad this week during the overhaul that you thought, I'm going to stick him in on a bit of a
I was
going to
pick Troy Deeney, and then I was like, if next game's against United, I can't
return.
Yeah, I can't back someone against United to score. I just can't. It's like why I don't have Liverpool. But I don't want to be that guy tweeting, oh yeah, Liverpool won, but Salah got a goal, so I got the points. Like,
Do you ever bet against your team just in case they lose?
No.
So you got that.
I don't bet. Tell a lie, actually. I did the other week, but I very rarely bet on United. as
Last
well.
time we spoke is about betting on like Rio Ave in the Portuguese league.
No,
so.
but I don't bet on United.
All right, fair enough.
I didn't say I don't bet.
I was going to say because I've seen some.
I've been
of your
pulling Sky's pants
obscure
down this season, by the
accumulators.
way. Thank you, Sky Bet.
You're welcome. Next question comes from Unknown18.
You're welcome.
This is quite a sentimental one. They've asked, what made you fall in love with football? Van Straten is a very lovely bloke. Why don't you take this first?
Oh, cheers. I don't know. Like probably just playing as a kid. Like my family wasn't a football family. Nobody in my family cares about football at all. And so I think it must have just been playing on the playground at school. But I was like obsessed. I was obsessed by playing football. Like I was really into it. And so I think I liked playing it before I ever really knew about teams or knew about players at all. I only started really supporting a team when I was like 6. That's when I got into
Was it
Arsenal.
Arsenal?
It was Arsenal. Of course it was Arsenal. I dare you.
From day dot.
You didn't do a
Yeah.
Harry Kane and
Nah, I'm not a
My first shirt was a
scumbag.
Chelsea shirt.
I'm not that kind of scumbag.
your first
Yeah,
shirt.
Yeah.
that's exactly the kind of bloke.
Because I was a big fan of Good Johnson, but I couldn't afford to get his name on the back, so I had to go for Zola. Do you remember when it was like £3 a letter?
That's the worst.
And I
thing
couldn't
I've
afford
ever
the
heard.
number either. So I had the name Zola, no number, Chelsea Fly Emirates top.
That's so weird.
What made you fall in love with football, Adam McCullough?
I'll be honest, I asked you
Retain
this
that love
question
ever
earlier.
since.
Like, I always ask people, did you like football first or your team first? And I was like, my team. Like, I can't remember the day that I decided to follow Manchester United or be a football fan, because it's been so long. Like my dad and my uncle taking me to games, and it's just been bred into me. But playing football as well, like as a kid, like you go outside these days, you don't see kids playing football no more. Do you? I know that sounds like a real.
Depends where you
like
hang
a
out,
real,
mate.
like, but like you don't. Like,
Grumpy
I used to
old-
play
I don't.
football on the
I
street.
don't.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I
still
know
live
what you mean.
in my area where I grew up in, so
Becoming a grumpy
I
old
go
man.
around
What's going
there
on?
and you don't see kids. Like, we used to use cars as goals.
Who did you pretend you were when you were playing in the street?
Beckham or
'Cause there
Giggs.
was always one
And you used to be
player,
like, no, I'm Beckham, and someone else would be like, no, I'm Beckham, and you'd be like, no, I'm Beckham. I
weird,
got
eh?
the curtains and everything.
I used to be Nuno Gomez. So
Oh my God.
I thought he was cool as
Nuno
fuck.
Gomez.
Is that because the greasy hair
Probably.
and the
That's what-
headband?
that was my
and
question.
Figo. And Figo.
Yeah, Figo. I remember Figo.
Mm.
And definitely Bergkamp, obviously.
So you were Bergkamp?
Yeah, of course I was. Still am.
Still flying as well.
Talking about. No, I'm fine. I'm fine on the plane. Just lethal up
So
front.
you fell in love with Manchester United before
First,
football.
yeah.
And what made you fall in love with Manchester United? Was it a
Going to the
particular player?
games and just the feeling of walking. I remember that feeling of walking into the stadium, and I still get it now. You walk, you just walk into Old Trafford. Well, you probably get it in the respective
I
stadium.
would never walk into Old Trafford.
Not in
your stadium.
I don't know.
But
At least-
But
Hey.
just walking up
Yours
the
full of
stairs
scum,
and seeing
yeah.
the pitch is just makes your
Nostalgia.
balls tingle,
Oh,
doesn't it?
Can't
does.
wait to see the 8th place team play the 7th place team.
Feel it
That's what
deep
you
in my
think when you go
plums.
into Old Trafford.
Who's 8th?
United.
Are we?
You'll be below Watford.
I don't look at the table anymore.
No, I
I haven't
just mean
looked at it since
generally. That's where I expect you to
2013.
finish.
So yours was club / experience more so than player. 'Cause
I'm playing.
Mine was
I'm
player.
playing. I played so much.
No player, not
Oh,
player.
player.
Mm.
My first player that I loved was Eric Cantona.
Yeah,
And then it was Beckham. And like, I still remember actually Sir Trevor McDonald breaking the
respect
news
on
that
his name.
Cantona had retired. And I said to my dad, "What's retired?
What do you mean?
What's retired?"
What's retired?
He's like, yeah,
You
he's
think he
gone.
like broken his leg
And
or
then I
something?
cried
Oh, that's sad. But also,
because of Cantona.
What did you do when Fergie left? Because my friend from uni, about 6 o'clock in the morning, who's a journalist now, big football fan, just came and sat on the end of my bed at like 6 o'clock in the morning and just like sat there with his head in his hands until I asked him like, "What are you doing?"
It
that's
was
the
during
worst.
that morning.
That's embarrassing.
It was during my student
Proper
days, so I was a
morning.
bit of a wild card at that point.
Bit of a reprobate.
And I kind of just like was always smashed. And
You would have
probably-
pretended you
I,
didn't
I
care,
thought
yeah.
like, this is gonna last forever. Fergie's set us up so well that David Moyes is gonna come and we're gonna win everything.
Did you believe he was the chosen one?
I got sold a dream. I got sold a dream. And I remember like, I used to be watching games where David Moyes was playing. I used to be thinking, oh my God, this is awful. And then I would just think, but Fergie told us to back him, so we have to back him.
And then you got
We
to
got
the,
sold a dream.
to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, which
And Paddy Evra gave me the best 15 seconds of my life.
that goal against Munich.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was quality. Anyway, let's move on. Next question. Enjoyed that though. Malav Fozdar has asked, are strikers like Mitrovic, Murray and Wilson worth investing in at this point? Or do you reckon the fairy tale will soon come to an end? So all going through purple patches. Mitrovic, like you said, I think for me is the one worth investing in
Yeah,
out of those
definitely.
three, because Fulham as a collective, I know we're only 4 games deep, are producing a lot more chances than the other sides. They're a lot more attack-minded, I think averaging 15 shots per game, 8.4 on target, which is significantly more than Brighton, who I think
That's
are
a
in
lot.
the 2s. Yeah, I think that's around 5th or 6th best at this current point in time, but I mean, Schürrle did have 11 shots by himself.
He did.
The day when they beat, was it Palace? Someone of that ilk, anyway. But yeah, Mitrovic is averaging 4.5 shots
you
per
do your
game.
research on that, innit?
And the next 3 games, Manchester City away, Watford at home and Everton away. Yeah, I did hear that, I just chose to move on. But do you see any
I got Mitro.
other redeemable features in a Glenn Murray or a Callum Wilson?
Not really.
Nah,
Not really.
short and sweet.
Well, I mean, like Brighton, you'd like to see. I mean, he's got a good creator behind him in Gross, and I think once Bassuma's actually starting, they'll improve. But realistically, like Glenn Murray, most of his goals are going to come from pens. And Wilson, Bournemouth,
And
are
against
just,
United.
Bournemouth are just a nightmare. Yeah, and against United, Bournemouth are just a nightmare. Like they're so unpredictable, and also
Yeah.
they've got they're sharing the goal scoring burden in that they've also got Josh King, they've got Ryan Fraser, they've apparently still got Jermaine Defoe, though as predicted turned out to be a horrible signing for them. I think that probably out of all of those, Mitrovic is a combination of a shot monster striker and a good attacking side and really good service. So I just think that like Mitro is a pretty safe option actually.
Yeah, Bournemouth do have the easier run in the next 3 games. Leicester, Burnley, Palace. But by no means foregone conclusions when it comes to Bournemouth. And the prices here, Mikola, Wilson 9.7, Murray 9.6, Mitro makes him a bargain of 9.1. Doesn't make sense to go for Wilson at nearly 10. What are you saying?
And plus, even against the big teams, Manchester City away, Fulham will get opportunities because of the way Manchester City play. So even if they lose, they might get a goal. And Mitro likely to be the goal scorer. Watford at home, Everton away, difficult games again. But I like Mitrovic. I think there's something about him. I think he wants to prove a point against Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
You get a lot of players that want to do that. And
how can he get on with a manager like Jokanovic and not Benitez? Jokanovic is just as much a
but
disciplinarian.
it's the way you play
He's a
football.
fellow Serb.
And if
Like,
you
apparently, genuinely, like they might have known each other from before, and apparently, like that helps them bond
Bridge the
early
gap.
doors. So I don't know, who knows?
they've got secrets.
Serbian secrets.
a Serbian
Good segment.
film. Anyway,
Let's never talk about that.
yeah, never. Moving on to what we've christened as the Sky Sports Fantasy Football mini game, wherein if you get these questions right, there's 3 of them. The answers aren't on your sheet, so don't get excited. You get to give away a Manchester United shirt on your feed. You'll probably keep it, don't you? Freebie specialist.
Is it the pink one?
The pink one is quite nice, actually. I quite rate the pink one.
It's all right, yeah. I think we've just brought that out because
It
Pogba once played great in a pink shirt.
It
Might
feels
help.
a little bit too faded, though. Like a red sock has just been left in the wash with all the kits. You know, as opposed to like a strong pink. Yeah, like a I want to say Parma.
But it's based on-
Palermo.
Do you remember back in
Or
the
the
day
UK away kit, yeah.
when the Manchester Evening News was a good source of news?
No.
It used to be pink
Did it?
on a match day or something like that. It's
Oh, fair
based
play.
on the football pinks, anyway.
Whatever.
Is it? Okay. I quite like the football pink. Good magazine. Anyway.
I love that how they'll just bring out a kit and they'll have to search for a reason to try and tie it into the history of the club. Like, it's mad, isn't it?
One for the press officer. Next question. Well, next 3 questions are for you then, Mikola. And it's guess which Manchester United players are faring better on Sky Fantasy Football. And it's an either or. Yeah? So we've picked out players who sort of match up. And if you can pick the person who's got the most points, if you get 2 out of 3, you get to give away the kit. All right, one for the fans. So who do you think's faring better this season on fantasy football, Fellaini or Mata?
Matt has played in more games when we've lost. Fellaini played in the last game, we kept a clean sheet.
Good logic.
And he played well. So Fellaini.
Correct. That's 1 for 1.
For once, Fellaini comes in handy.
Smalling, your best mate, or Eric Bailly?
Our Bay was awful against Brighton. Was it Brighton? We've been awful a lot.
Yeah, when
recently.
you lost 3-2.
That's against Brighton.
Smalling did get absolutely
Do you know
toasted by
Watford
Lucas
beat Brighton
Moura.
and Tottenham? And United lost against both those
Yeah,
teams.
that's true actually. I didn't think about that. Oh, that is funny. They are better than you, aren't they?
Yeah,
Watford.
Smalling.
Smalling is correct. And for the cherry
2
on
players
top
I hate, yeah.
of the cake,
And the other 2 are 2 players I love.
Pogba or Shaw?
This is hard because Pogba's had 2 penalties, but he missed one. And what's throwing me is he's my captain, so I think he's got more points than he actually has. But I've already won in it, so
You have. This is
So
just
it's a
this is
freebie.
showboating.
Pogba, goals.
It is Luke Shaw. Actually, what do you make of Luke Shaw's start to the season? Do you actually think he looks like a new player?
Do you know what I hate, yeah? People that say, I hate a lot of things, don't I? Do you know what I hate? People that say, oh, Jose's worked great on Luke Shaw.
Yeah,
Look at him,
okay.
he's flying now. He could have done that last year if he played him.
Do you think he's exactly where he should be?
Yes.
Or even further behind?
This is the
still?
Luke Shaw we know and love. Hopefully
Love.
we get to see more of. He's a fantastic player when he plays, when he's fit. I think there has been talk of him in the past, even at Southampton, where he maybe hasn't got that commitment. He doesn't. I heard an interview from Luke Shaw. Yeah, he's not a football fan,
Okay.
and I think being a football fan as a footballer can give you an extra something going into it. And I think he just
He's not emotionally
maybe at one
invested.
point it didn't really click for him, but
Yeah.
it kind of has clicked now.
Okay.
Maybe because his contract's coming to an end. Maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
But I like
Shots
Shaw.
fired.
He should be the best left back in the Prem. Should be.
I
And I hope he can get back to that
he
stage.
starts. He's back in the
He's
England
not yet,
squad. I
but
hope
he
he
could-
starts for England, and that segues nicely into our next section, which is match previews. But obviously, an international break is upon us, so we're going to quickly talk about England versus Spain, and then move on. So it's England versus Spain at Wembley this Saturday at 7:45, and I want to ask you, Van Straten, in this game, What Sky Sports fantasy football players may shine?
Oh, it's an interesting question. I think it will be intriguing to see whether Morata starts. He feels much more like a kind of Luis Enrique striker than the other options available, except for maybe Iago Aspas, and Iago Aspas isn't in the squad. Marcos Alonso might well play it as well because Jordi Alba's been left out. I think it'll be an interesting one because Spain are kind of working out the kinks, still figuring out how they're going to play under Luis Enrique. But they, I don't know, the quality is still such that them working out the kinks probably still makes them one of the best teams in the world. I don't know. Yeah, Marcos Alonso, if he's going to play, then I would have thought they'll play a 3 at the back because I think the idea of him in a back 4 is terrible, and I don't think it's been working for Chelsea, frankly. So I don't know. Luis Enrique, I think, will be practical about it.
Okay. Adam, for England, we have Joe Gomez, who's 8.2 million on the game, has 33 points for the season, only selected by 6% of players still. He returns to the fold after missing the World Cup through injury. Gareth Southgate very keen to work with him beforehand. Like I said, a great start to the season. That's reflected in his points. Do you rate him? And I know you have a hard time talking about Liverpool players in a positive sense.
I'll be honest, I haven't watched much of
Yeah.
Liverpool.
What about Adam Lallana and Shaw?
I
They're
don't.
both
It's like
in the squad
people
as
say
well.
to me, have you watched the Man City doc? Who in their right mind is going to sit there and watch them piss the league? Like, I don't watch Liverpool. I only watch if they lose. So,
You've been watching Lallana's hair though, right?
yeah, he looks like Beckham on like Pro Evolution 2004, doesn't he? He does, don't he?
PES 6, what a game.
It was a great game.
Luke Shaw, all
Is
right,
that the one with
you have
Pierre
been
Luigi
watching
on
him.
it? Yeah, I
And
have
we-
been watching Luke Shaw.
Adriano
So
watching.
Joel Gomez, from what I have seen of him,
Go on.
he's a decent talent, and I've been impressed with both Joel Gomez and Robertson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andy Robertson.
When I
New
have
Scotland
seen them,
captain.
they look, yeah,
Apparently.
24,
Scotland
yeah.
captain. But they look good, and good young players coming through can only be good for England, and unfortunately Liverpool as well.
Well, it kind of makes sense with Cahill stepping back from the fold, doesn't it? They've had to. Southgate is keen to blood youngsters, and I'm guessing Gomez is one of the first players.
That's what I like
in
about
mind.
Southgate. He's not. Remember that old thing where people say, "Oh, he's just picking the same old players," and
Yeah.
Yeah, like legacy.
yeah, and
legacy
it's like
picks.
there's none of that stuff here. It's like he's picking players that he hopes can go on to do well. And like I like what he did. Like at the World Cup, he brought Ashley Young because they realised we need something right now. But as soon as that's done, they can look to the future, use Luke Shaw, and get rid of Ashley Young, and that makes sense. Like so, I like Gareth Southgate. He's doing things
Like
sensibly.
Ryan
at England.
Sessegnon to get a go.
Is he in the squad?
I don't think he is for this one, but I would like to see him get a go. Would
He
you
hasn't
not?
played
That
much
would be
yet. this
interesting.
He
season.
hasn't played much. I think it might be a question not of this season, but the one after, where you'd imagine he
That's
will
the
be a
thing
regular
with him.
starter.
Like,
He's
with
so
Sessegnon,
young.
because of last season where all the hype was around him. Kind of remember like the whole Walcott thing where he kind of just got dragged into the World Cup squad just because of the
Yeah,
hype.
yeah.
I was worried like he would go to the World Cup because of the hype around him, and I was glad he
Too
didn't.
much.
He was on a
And now,
preference,
even
wasn't
now,
he? Yeah.
he's starting on the bench for Fulham. He's not starting every game, and
He started the first 2, but Jokanovic is guarding him,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, which
so
I think
that's
is
good.
wise.
That's what he
pretty smart.
needs. Like he needs that. So
Looking after,
take it slow, Sess.
What do you boys make of the new UEFA Nations League then? It's not something we really spoke about a lot on our channel. It's replacing friendlies, supposed to make these games a little bit more meaningful. And as a result, 4 clubs, because they're separated into groups, 4 teams who finish top of their group, essentially go on to play other people who finish top of their group. It goes straight into a semi-final, then a final. And as a result, there is an extra 4 places up for grabs in the subsequent Euros. So I suppose smaller nations are going to enjoy this new format, but do you think it's going to make any difference from a fan perspective? Is it something you've really paid much thought to?
No, as you've seen in the squads that the managers have picked, they're all still experimenting. They're not really taking it more seriously than they would have done if it was a friendly. To me, from the outside looking in, because I'm not really too clued up on international football as much. But to me, that's how it looks like. They're not, and even as a fan kind of thing, like when I heard that announcement and I saw the reaction to it, it was kind of like, yeah, they're still friendlies with a better name. It's like the Community Shield.
A little bit
It's like-
overwhelming, yeah.
It's like still a friendly. No one really cares. How many subs can you have in those games? Can you still have like 11 subs, 7 subs? I bet you can, because no one cares about those games.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, isn't it, where like when you don't know about it, you feel guilty for a moment because you're like, oh, I should have researched this. But then on the other hand, On the other hand, I do think like it is the
I think that, like-
responsibility of like UEFA and FIFA to get fans interested
on
in
side,
this sort of stuff. Like it's not actually my fault that it's like so terminally boring. Like so, I do think that they could just explain it in a more coherent way. And if the aim is to say, right, okay, we're going to give the smaller sides a chance at making the Euros, and we're going to avoid dead rubbers, then sure, fine. But in practice, I don't care about any of these national teams. None of them matter to me. I mean, if I had someone to root for more in international football, maybe I'd care more. Like, I follow the Netherlands. But
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm
I
not
don't care
surprised about your apathy, because
Yeah,
there's no way
that's
the
right.
Netherlands
doesn't
are
matter.
fair at the minute.
Doesn't matter.
But
Who
I mean,
cares?
England have a pretty
Big
tasty
Timbo's
group.
going to bring you back. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, brilliant.
England have a pretty tasty group, Spain
That's not
and
bad.
Croatia. So they're going to be interesting friendlies, nonetheless, in my opinion. Let's move on into fan
Will you
teams.
care if England finish bottom of that group?
Well, no, as long as we.
That says all you need to know about that.
But imagine being one
Yeah,
of those
definitely.
smaller nations wherein you can now qualify off the back of good friendly results. The
Patronising.
Northern Islands, the Republic of Ireland.
Don't bring
God,
Northern
the
Ireland
Scot-
I don't
into
want
this.
either of the Irish nations to make the World Cup. Just had enough. Because everyone goes on about them like
Brilliant
they don't care.
fans,
I don't
come
care
on.
about brilliant fans. Great.
The
Not
Irish are
brilliant
great, you
teams
shut
though,
up.
are they? Like I don't have any issue with the people. They're better than the English. I'll
If
give them
England
that. Like, by a
had
long
Irish
way.
fans, England would have won the World Cup by now.
You're being ridiculous.
Just saying.
What? That doesn't make sense, does it? Rubbish. Anyway, moving on to fan teams, which we should have done.
Is it annoying for the Scottish that they have like literally two good players and they're both in the same position?
And one's still Darren Fletcher.
Darren Fletcher do a job, mate.
Anyway, time to move on to fan teams. Our overall winner so far is a team called Sarri Not Sarri. So you get this week's fantasy football prize, which is a shirt. Tweet us, pick it, we'll get it
Can I have
done.
this shirt if you want?
Let's go. This
No,
is
don't get that
vintage,
one.
mate. This is a one-off. Get your
the wrong
dirty
size, though.
mitts off my top.
Too
Well, let's
big,
go
though.
through the team quickly. Hush. Now, Alisson in goal. Robertson, Wan-Bissaka, Bowley in defence. Hazard, Pereira, Moura, Sarri and Jorginho in midfield. Kane and Aubameyang.
One
up
thing that
top.
I would
Go
never
on,
do
Please, that's why you're
is
here.
put a goalkeeper and a defender from the same team in my back line. Because if one concedes, they both concede. So then two of your
Sure.
I
players
mean, that's sound logic.
have lost
but
clean sheets.
What if they both don't concede?
I mean, yeah.
That's a good point.
how do you like those? Zach?
But then if Alisson's going to be running around outside his box with the ball,
I think he was inside his box when he.
wherever he was,
Yeah, it wasn't good.
he wasn't saving the ball, was he, in the goal?
Fair point.
So
Got me there.
So is that what we're going to say about his team? Congratulations, but Alisson is
I know, I
a
think
little bit of a
it's-
head
I
case.
quite like
I'm
his
surprised you
team.
got Kane, Aubameyang, and Hazard in
And
there.
Seri's good. Seri's a good bargain as well. And Seri, outrageous assist for Schürrle the other day. Wan-Bissaka as well is one of those guys who I'm trying to square the fact that I really like watching him play with the fact that he's also given away a penalty and been sent off already this
Yeah.
season. But he's really young and he's getting regular minutes. So I think he'll only improve as the season goes on. And when I watch him, I know it's like a dumb thing to say, but he looks good. He looks like a player.
Yeah. The thing about the Salah red card is you almost want to give him credit for keeping up with Salah, and then it is quite a soft red. It's not a big rash lunge. It is just a little coming together.
Reminded me of the Solskjaer one against Newcastle a little bit.
Yeah, so I feel it's a bit unlucky there, but we're a big fan of your team. Like I said, you've won a prize. Congratulations.
I'm not a fan of his team. I'm not a fan of his team.
You
I
get a
am.
prize. You don't have to get. I don't have to
You
like
can
it.
suck up if you want. But I
Sick
hate
of
his
fan.
team.
Unbelievable.
Right, let's go through week 4's top performing bonus players very quickly. Most successful tackles, Johnny Otto and Fabian Balbuena. 5
Nice.
tackles, 3 points each. Johnny Otto, do you know much about him? Moved from Atletico recently.
No, I don't.
On that bombshell.
Move
Moving
on.
on to most completed passes. Aymeric Laporte, 116.
That's mental.
That is mental. So
That's
he
not
gets
really what you want. from
3
a centre
points
back.
in that system. Do you see him as the long-term replacement for Vincent Kompany? And eventually it'll be Stones, Laporte. Goodness
Do you need a
gracious.
long-term? Was Company long-term really? He's been there a long time. He's already played.
But Kompany's
They've always
got
had replacements for Company, haven't they?
another couple of years, but he played more so last season than he had in the previous 2 seasons.
What makes me sick is that I don't think Chris Smalling made that many completed passes in the whole of last season.
I knew it was going to be
It's
Chris
probably a
Smalling.
fair
I just knew it was. What makes me sick?
Smalling or Jones?
Jones is better.
Yeah, I think Jones is
Smalling is more reliable in terms of his knees not breaking.
But not in terms of being good at football.
But
You know when he hobbled off against Spurs, and Mourinho was asked about his injury post game.
He was like, oh, yeah, he's injured, obviously.
yeah.
It's like, No, he said, these are the words he said.
Absolute dig. Injured, is
He's
he?
out of the next game, as you can imagine.
Ooh,
Cheers,
give him a
Joe.
side eye. Anyway, most shots on target, Romelu Lukaku, 2 points for getting 4 shots on target.
Nice.
Could have had 2 hat-tricks.
Not
He
with,
needs
not
to-
with 4 shots
I
on
mean,
target.
mathematically, it does
Get
not
that
make
in
sense.
Second joke.
It does.
Better the second
He had
time.
chances.
Yeah.
He had the chances, trust me.
Yeah,
he did.
he had four good chances, it would seem.
Won the game for you, though.
Mm,
Can't complain that much.
I suppose.
He's going to need to have a big season, isn't it?
You know what? I feel sorry for Lukaku because last season he did get 27 goals and that was his best tally of his career.
17 in the league?
And in a
I think
team
it's 6.
that didn't create much.
Okay.
Like we didn't create anything for him last
Yeah.
season. So if we actually create chances, like in the first couple of games we've seen he's had chances to score. If we do that throughout the season, I think he'll get more than 27.
yeah,
He'll
is it
get
harsh?
35 plus.
Is it a harsh criticism saying he's a player who needs to be in a team where he's generating a lot of chances? Because I feel like he misses quite a lot of decisive chances. He's
He
really missed
misses.
two clear
He has missed a lot,
of
but
this season.
genuinely, if you put yourself through the pain of watching all the United's games last season, you will see that we did not create much for him.
Okay.
I remember that season of Zlatan, where he was missing sitter after sitter after sitter after sitter, and we never kind of had that with Lukaku last season, and he was making a lot of goals for himself. But it shows you how like
But he's done that at West
football's
Brom and
so
Everton
up and
as well,
down.
though.
He was one of the best strikers this summer, and now all of a sudden everyone's writing him off. He's still got 3 goals in 4 games.
Yeah, I think he'll
Still
have a really good
justifying my
season.
decision
who's written
to
him
stick him in my team.
Who's written him off?
A lot of people.
Oh, somebody online.
Anyway, most saves made, Neil Etheridge, 8 saves, 3 points.
I'm not surprised.
He's probably not a bad option to have in your side. Full stop.
Only
I mean,
in
he
terms
did
of
make
saves, he's not gonna
keeper of the
get a
week.
clean
That's
sheet.
Rui Patricio, but yeah, I mean, no clean sheets. But if you're going to get, do you get 6 points for 16 saves?
Are we gonna go
Because I
on-
reckon he'll get there at some point.
Are we
this
going to
season.
go in on Neil Warnock again?
Yeah, we did quite an explicit take on Neil Warnock.
To be fair to him, he was
And-
actually quite nice after that Arsenal game.
And James Wayne behind the camera made us do it again, which is just as well.
All for that. You can't get that kind of gold again. No, this is what I want to know. Yeah.
Yeah,
When you have your
It's finally
when you
getting-
have your
it's
belt
finally
up
getting
here,
Yeah.
Yes.
where are your boxers? Are they still down here?
Yeah. There's like 3 feet of dead space between your belt and your boxers.
Like what the? When I got old, yeah, I just need someone walking behind me, just making sure my trousers are all right.
Yeah. You can't spin that yarn again. Let's go through team, because I'm so tempted to lay back into Warnock. Let's go through team of the week, then we'll end this. Patricio in goal, Walker, Suarez, David Luiz and Otto make up a back 4. Hazard, Højbjerg, who's kind of, he used to be
goal.
a prodigious young talent, never really
How
came
have Palace
good.
still not won a
Still
game
young,
without
still young,
Zaha,
yeah.
by the
Still
way?
young. And Billing in midfield as well. That's somewhat of a surprise.
We got a
He
goal.
scored, didn't he? Yeah.
Didn't
Lukaku, Murray, and Lacazette make up a front 3. Anyone feature
That
from
team
your
would fit-
side in that team?
That team would finish lower half.
Lukaku's in my team.
That's a hot take. That team would finish in the lower half of the table. Cedric Suarez and David
Oh,
Luiz.
maybe not
worries
Hazard.
me,
I
yeah.
forgot he was in there, but it's pretty shocking.
That is awful. Imagine having to watch Lukaku and Murray up front together. I do love you, Ram.
Much love, Ron. You know what?
Should we wrap this?
It's been a journey this week. We're at the end of it. I'm
want
glad
to
to
hold your hand or something?
But
Why you put your
I
hand
enjoyed
out
it.
there?
This is the
I
longest show
enjoyed
we've
it
ever
nonetheless,
made.
Yeah.
It has been a
Um,
great show. Well done, guys.
Like
Talk
and
about
subscribe.
everything.
Check out Full Time Devils. Subscribe to the league. Pins on screen now. You can still win kits galore. I mean, you probably won't win the season-long prizes now because where were you from the start? Pathetic, really. If you're only just joining the league now.
Get that overhaul on as well. I got mine on.
Overhaul. Plan your captains. All good stuff.
Can someone send me text like to remind me to plan my captain? Can you do that? We got a text
Sure.
service
Yeah, we'll do that.
in the office.
Sort that out.
Thanks.